Hello, everyone. This is Lo, and I am here today on D1011 with Jack from Hudson County Complete Streets. So, hello, Jack.
Hello, how are you doing today?
I'm good. I have to say, Jack is one of my favorite names. It really is. Actually, it's one of my favorite names. I like one syllable names. Of course, I have a one syllable name, but Jack's
You,
one of my favorite names. But we're not here to talk about you necessarily. We are here to talk about Hudson Complete Streets and more specifically, the North Jersey Transit Forum. So, before we get into the Jersey Transit Forum, I would like to know what is Hudson County Complete Streets?
Hudson County Complete Streets is an organization in Hudson County, as one would expect. We fight for multimodal transportation, safe streets, transit, and just making sure that residents and visitors have a variety of options to get around safely, affordably, and in a reasonable time frame. It's all about multimodal transportation to create a better quality of life in a nutshell.
Well, that is great. And what, since you're talking about that, do you have a favorite bus or train or a rail line?
So growing up in Long Branch, my favorite mode of transportation was the North Jersey Coastline NJ Transit train. It's how I would get to Rangers games. But now living in downtown Jersey City, it's the PATH train. PATH train is what my girlfriend takes to and from work every day. It connects New York and New Jersey, and I always refer to it as like the aorta of Hudson County. It's the primary artery through which traffic flows and people flow, I should say.
I love the path, and I've always wondered why more people kind of didn't take it in New Jersey. I'm not going to get into that right now because it's like that's one of my questions. I always go, why would you take the heavy rail when path is right there? Um, it is again, that's how I get into New York. That's how I get into New York. That's how I get to Jersey City. But we're not just talking about that. That's a fun question. I always like asking people like what's their favorite way to get around. When they say path, I get too excited. So the North Jersey Transit Forum, like, why are you guys putting this together? What is the point? Why is Hudson County doing this? We already kind of like have we have a lot of kind of transportation forums. What makes this one special? Other than I thought, oh wow, this seems really cool. It's regional.
That's one reason it's regional. I mean, there are a lot of transportation advocates, but the majority of them are in New York City. We got Transportation Alternatives, RPA, Riders Alliance, Tri-State Transportation Campaign, and they all do have New Jersey offices, but they're I think we are the only nonprofit that is based in Hudson County, fighting for Hudson County, and this forum is really about bringing all the players in our region together. That is not just Hudson County, that goes into our neighboring counties. And by the players, I mean the elected officials, people in the business community, other advocacy groups, us, and the people, the riders, the people who would benefit from this. We're doing this because we're hosting this, put this together because Hudson County should not just be a stop along the way to New York City. It is a growing community, a thriving community, but if we do not expand our transit options, there's not too much more we can do to get people around. Like we have paved all the problems we can, and beyond this, we're going to have to come up with transit solutions if we want to grow, if we want to maintain the quality of life that exists and expand that, make it a place that people want to go. And so this conference is about bringing all this variety of parties to the table and saying, hey, getting everyone to realize, hey, when we talk with you individually, we all want the same thing. Whether you're a developer, you're an elected official, you're a community org, the Riverview Neighborhood Alliance, any community organization. I love Greenville. We all benefit from this, but historically, transit projects move slow. So this is just about expediting the process and seeing what we can do to break the bottlenecks and get going on things like the northern extension to Hudsonburg and Light Rail, the extension to Newark Airport for PATH, which is a ways away, but still we want to beat the drum to say, hey, this is important. Don't forget about this.
No, I think that these are all very important things. And I love the fact, like, if you are in Jersey City, um, you have a lot of ways kind of into New York City. Even where I am, I have a lot of ways into New York City. But in regards to getting around New Jersey intra transit, we have some challenges, and this is often challenging for people who are not going into Manhattan, which means that a lot of working class people who like get your coffee, or they're nurses, or they're teachers in Jersey City or Newark or et cetera, or whatever, and they're going within the city, they don't have that way in. So this is why I think this conference and what you guys are doing is so important. Um, Also, like, so regular writers can come. I mean, I know you're talking about planners and officials, but do you want like regular writers there too? Do you want like regular people who just happen to take public transit, like students, etc.?
Yes, and just I forgot to add one thing. JFK BRT and the 86 bus, which takes me from right outside my door on Newark Avenue to Union City, where my doctor is. JFK bus rapid transit would make that not an hour trip, but far less. Yes, this conference is for everyday riders like you and me, because the constant thread running through every conversation with electeds, business community is get the riders to come out. I can advocate for this so much more strongly if I have the weight of the people behind me. So yes, we absolutely want everyday riders because A, it adds to the movement, it adds to our power. B, often people don't understand what New Jersey Transit is doing, what the Port Authority is doing, what Hudson Bergen Light Rail is doing. Both because our lives are busy and because these agencies don't always communicate it all that well. I've said this to them and they usually agree. They said, yeah, we want more people to know, but it still shocks me sometimes when I talk with people and they say, oh, I wish the path wouldn't stop in Hoboken on the weekends. And our campaign solved that problem, at the end of last year. And I said, well, I got great news for you. It's going to stop doing that. And they go, oh, really? So a lot of people just don't know. And we would love for them to learn all the things that these agencies are doing, the plans that they have in mind, and get excited about it because it would make the quality of life here great, even better.
No, it is. I mean, I feel like we have, people don't really realize that New Jersey is the most dense state, in the United States, and it's actually the most urban. People are like, "What?" And I know because we're by Manhattan, that seems so weird, but it's in regards to the entire state, we are the most urban state. Only 5% of our state is not developed, which I think is really fascinating, which makes essentially what you folks are doing so not only like pragmatic, it's feasible because we have the ridership, we have the people. That's one of the problems with a lot of times people want all this really cool stuff, but they don't have enough people. You already talked about one of the common frustrations you hear from people in regards to public transit, like the Hoboken stop. Are there any other frustrations that you hear from like regular riders or even like with politicians outside of we want them to show up to we want them to show up to advocate. We don't want that stop in Hoboken. There are other frustrations that you hear from people.
Yeah, I would say visibility and information, IT visibility, signage. I was recently talking with riders, both online and in person, about Hudson Bergen Light Rail. That's just using a case study. And they noted that very often the trains aren't digitally labeled correctly. And that is one of those things that I always think it's going to be an easy fix, but it has to go through a process. But that is something that that's one thing that people say, I don't know the train or I don't know the light rail I'm getting on. And then I end up not getting on the one I should or getting on the wrong one. So that would be something. Um, Frequency, always frequency. And that is one issue with the business community, particularly at places like, major business centers. I won't put anyone on the spot that say, we would love to tell people to use transit, but it's not frequent enough or it's not reliable enough. So essentially, in paraphrasing, we don't want to put our name on the line saying, yeah, sure, take transit service X. And then people say, I was late. Why did you do that to me? So it's a little bit of if you build it, they will come, but we got to build it.
No, exactly. One of my challenges, I take the Newark light rail, and one thing I think is kind of interesting about the Newark light rail, which is it's I guess it's one of the rest of the light rails are contract. The people who work for them are contract. The Newark light rail is one of the few I think that are union. I think this is one of the differences I think it might make in regards to service. But one thing I would like for the Newark Light Rail, even though they're great, I want to tell you guys you're great. They're the guys that run it because I'm right at the edge of the Newark station at Grove. I never know which train is leaving first. So when I'm running for the train, it just says pin, but it doesn't say which one. And sometimes I pick the wrong one. I'm like, damn it. I know you can't solve that problem. I'm just I'm
But
just saying.
but in a conversation with the NJ Transit customer advocate Frank, uh,
Yes.
I said, "Hey, thanks for the new signs," and his response was, "Yeah, they're good. I want them to be even better." Which is another thing that I want people to know that a lot of times the public, reasonably, we don't see what's going on at someone else's job. Like every person's job, you have this many problems to solve and this number of resources with which to solve it. New Jersey
Mhm.
Transit, Port Authority, they're no different. So they know it's a problem, they want to solve it, and it's really encouraging to see the Governor Sherrill taking such a strong stance on transit. I've never seen it in my lifetime, uh, and it's great. I love it.
No,
We
no,
love
I said the same thing. I was like, this seems unusual. I don't remember this happening before. So I'm like, this is amazing. I'm like, and then I remember, and I did actually go to the meeting that Frank had. I was like I was very happy. I was like, this could work. I feel like I'm a little bit of a skeptic as a urban
it.
critic. I have
Of course.
skeptical tendencies.
Yeah.
But I was like, oh, I believe you, Frank. I believe you're going to fix this.
Yeah.
I don't know if it's because of his name or what. I'm just anyway. I see that you have panels. You have, which I think I kind of like it. Better buses, better path, better light rail. You guys don't have better bike lanes. That's okay. That's okay. We have a lot of that. But well, you know,
Transit forum. Yeah, we've got Bike JC. We had to tailor this conference to something specific, or else the focus gets scattered.
no, exactly. So what does better actually mean in like real life terms? What did you guys think when you meant better? Is that like a way to kind of like, here's a
Well,
flyer or something? I don't know.
yeah.
Cake at the train station.
Um, so I inherited this campaign. I came on as a volunteer with a better path, and then the campaign organizer he went back to his professional life, and I came on as a volunteer and eventually as a staffer. So at the time, it's just a name we inherited. But as we looked at these and thinking about the branding and the marketing and the messaging rather, transit can always get better. I mean, and you do not want to draw a line in the sand where you say we want 10-minute headways because I lived in Taipei, I've lived in Berlin, I visited like Moscow has a great metro system. Um, it can get as good as on 30 seconds every 30 seconds. So when we say better this, better that, better everything, it's to focus on the idea that we can always improve. And we can always do better, and we do not want to set arbitrary limits to how functional our community should be. How this is how safe our community needs to be. It always needs to be safer. This is how quick our transit needs to be. It always needs to be quicker. And with much respect to all the agencies we work with, and they work really hard because I see it and I talk with them. They can do better. I can do better. You can do better. Anyone who isn't looking to do better isn't passionate about what they're doing, and that's in transit. That's in everything, architecture, the arts, media. If you're not trying to do better, what are you trying to do? That's my feeling.
I know now I feel like my next question is silly now. I actually like the better because it's like, the whole idea a better world is possible.
Yeah.
So I kind of view it from that perspective. Like, you can't, it's not a quantitative thing because in a way you do put limits when you do quantitative metrics. And I think like, that's like my next question was going to be like, what's a realistic way, a realistic thing that we could imagine for transit? But is that like kind of like realistic? Am I being realistic when I even abstract? Not realistic, but is that kind of thing I'm limiting my thinking by asking you, what's a realistic dream? Because that's kind of like dreams are not supposed to be realistic necessarily. I don't know. Now we're having a deep philosophical conversation. That's not what I was trying to do.
Well, no, I think it's a valuable question because there is a balance. Like I was working on, we were working on something that you can see at Transit Forum. I'll give a little like hint, but like an idealized map of the region, projects that are planned, projects that could be created, projects that have been drawn up but never really moved. There is a balance between being be realistic or being a dreamer, and you want to be a pragmatist. You want to be somewhere in the middle, but if you set your sights too low, you get even less. And if you set your sights too high, people write you off as I've heard this many times, transit advocates drawing lines on maps with crayons. We are trying to be pragmatists um, while raising the bar a little bit. I mean, when the Port Authority delivered services improvements that exceeded everyone's expectations. So I think that was a fine example of ask for more, get more, but do it respectfully, calmly, and be clear with what you need, and make a solid argument for it, and bring partners in. Because when you're saying I want this because I want this, that's not a very persuasive argument. When you say this community needs this for the following reasons: business will thrive, we can reduce the traffic and parking problems, we can reduce air pollution, we can put $10,000 per person or per car owner per capita back in someone's household. That's Those are all great things that don't just fulfill some feel good pipe dream of like, let's do transit because transit's good, or let's do transit because Asia and
Hmm.
Europe do transit better. It's no, no, no. These are specific, measurable things that will improve the quality of life for residents, for business, for electeds, for Trenton. If you have 100 cars, you have 10,000 cars rolling down the road, you're going to need maintenance that soon. If you have only 5,000, well, you need it in half or double the time rather. I know that was a little bit convoluted, but I think you get the point. There are way more benefits to this than just we should do it because we should do it. And if you make that argument, you can bring more coalition partners on board and get stuff done.
Yeah, I mean, this is an important thing. I think that I do also too like the fact that it's, the Hudson County.
Mm-hmm.
Because in a way, so many times everything's kind of focused on Jersey City, and everything's kind of focused on Jersey City right around the path. And so this is like an important, especially for New Jersey, with the home rule kind of like we're our little area and we're our little area. It's kind of like breaking that barrier. But it's kind of a way of thinking, which is really, I think, wonderful. So like, say like, what do you think, even though you kind of did, but like, what's a small change that would you think make a big difference for riders of public transit? Like one small thing. Like I said, it's one small thing, it's like one small step, and then you keep running. But take a step forward. What's that one thing?
Clearer maps for New Jersey Transit buses. And I will keep it short. They were running a pilot program of two digital displays, one up high, one down low. But that is something, it's like I live on Newark Avenue. The 86, the 80 go down here, but I mostly walk and ride a bike. And the day that I needed the bus that I see outside every single day, I still had to go online go, wait, where is this going? Now I know. But for the two young ladies that were sitting on the corner, and they said, "Excuse me, can I ask you a question about the bus?" I said, "Maybe. Is this bus coming or what?" And I said, one can't really know, but it's Sunday and I can look for you. And I go, okay, no, it looks like they're only running this and that won't take you where you're going. So that's my longer than I wanted answer, but better maps and better information on the street. That would improve ridership and the experience.
That reminds me of the book Street Fight with Khan. And in the book, she was talking about how one thing they did in New York under Bloomberg was they put little neighborhood maps,
Hmm?
like where the bus stops were, where it was going. Because I don't know, like for me, when I'm walking, I realize a lot of times I don't know it's the way where public transit is. If you're in a car, you can see it. Like it's weird. You could see it if you're in a car, but if you're walking, you don't can't necessarily see it. And again, like you said, better signage, better where is because even when you use your phone, if you are like a half a mile from a public transit station and you try to use your phone, the walking directions, it is not easy. So being able to like, if you're within a half a mile of a transit stop, or it would be great to have little signs or to have like the times, whatever. Anyway, I'm talking about myself and we're supposed to be interviewing you. Um, uh,
Conversation. It's fine.
yeah. I thought about when we went to Montclair State, there was no maps. Like that was a thing. There was no maps. I couldn't find where I was going. I was like, what is, there's no maps anywhere. Anyway, we need to get back into the old days where they had maps. So a lot of conferences, they talk at people, and how, no, yeah, I wouldn't say a lot, but some conferences they talk at people. Like, what's the idea behind like the bus bench chat, the last and first mouth focus? Like, what is that going to be about? Like, I mean, that seems kind of exciting because, like I said, it just seems exciting.
Um, I mean, that's a huge bus bench chat. Um, that is about first and last mile transportation, which for anyone who doesn't know, most of your listeners probably know, it's about how do you get to the transit point because we don't all live on top of it. We have to go up to a mile, I think is what's considered, I mean, the first last mile. But I live, I suppose, half a mile. That's walkable. But um, for some, it's not. Or for some, the the infrastructure that gets them there is challenging, tedious, or perhaps it's storming. Um, so it's really about closing the gap between the major transit centers and figure out how to make. Let me pause there and go back. If if 25% of my trip is at the getting to the station and 25% is leaving the station to get to my destination, it might become impractical to use transit. So we need to, in order, if something is not practical, people are not going to use it. So it's really about closing the practicality gap and saying, okay, well, for the people in the height or the hilltop Jersey City or the Heights Jersey City, how do we get them from Central Avenue to the Ninth Street station to Exchange Place or into the city or wherever they're trying to go. And one of our speakers, and forgive me if I mispronounce his name, Shabazz Stewart, and his company Uni, OONE. It's bike storage. It's like a bike storage box that they've done in other cities, but they brought one to Jersey City right up at Grove Street, and it's full. You can ride your bike there. You put it in the Unipod, and your bike is safe. It won't rust. It won't get stolen. And that is a great way to close that gap while encouraging people not to hail an Uber or a cab. You live a healthier life. So it's really about closing those gaps. And there are many ways you can. I mean, bike buses for children are one example of how we're training the next generation to not just be so auto centric and car reliant because pickup lines and all those things, drop off pickup lines have gotten crazy. That didn't exist when we were children, but now it's like an hour or two to get your kid from school, which is insane. And I look forward to hearing what else they say and in the first and last mile panel.
I wonder if they're gonna like with the chat. I wonder if are they gonna crowdsource from the audience? Like, are they gonna be like, here's an idea, here, I don't know. We'll just have to. If you want to find out, you'll have to go to the conference and see.
Yes.
Um, so
Well, I want to. I also want to say one thing. Speaking to the conference because that's what I'm supposed to be here talking about. A lot of times people have this idea that like we are we are here and all the people at the conference are there, and in reality, they live on the same streets that we do. We eat in the same restaurants. And as I worked with the Port Authority, it's like all the people employees there that I work with, communicate with, they're like in my neighborhood. We go to the same bakery. They take the same train. And so when I said, so and so, the train was late today, and she goes, yeah, I know. I was late for work too. So it's about closing that gap between the public and the decision makers to say like they're in the same boat as all of us. And if you come to this conference, you can see that they're very accessible, they're very nice people, and it's a lot harder to be nasty to someone when you realize that you're on the same team facing the same problems, which is something I always encourage people to consider. Like they're your ally, they're trying to help us. Let's help them.
No, exactly. And so just kind of like wrapping this up, who would you really want to see like in the room? Or yeah, at the conference. Is there like any particular person that you might want to see that you don't typically see at a conference and you're like, I want to see that person.
Yeah,
Um,
I want to see the person who's frustrated with the way things are. And it doesn't have to just be with transit. It can be with anything, just across the board. If you're now I'm speaking to the camera. If you're sitting at home or you turn on the news or you're having some negative experience in your life and you feel like there's nothing you can do, the remedy is coming and meeting with people and starting to work on the problem. And I'll probably overshare here. I was that person. I was very frustrated, and I studied politics, didn't know what to do with it, had always been interested in transit. And when I started volunteering, I realized, like, oh, this is the cure, this is the remedy, because nothing is worse than feeling like you have no ability to change it. And it's a double-edged sword of power and responsibility. You do have power, but you do have responsibility. Uh, but the thing is, it's not this miserable thing. Like, everyone always asks me, like, I want to meet people. Come to our conference. There are cool, interesting, funny people that would love to talk to you about transit, but everything else too. It's like they're just regular people, and it will alleviate some of the frustration. So the too long don't read version is uh, the person who thinks that they don't care. I would love to see them, because you'll find out you do care, and it can create some really positive change in your neighborhood, your life, in ways that you wouldn't imagine, because it cascades. It's not just the transit. When you have good transit that takes people places regularly, cool businesses spring up. People want to build parks. The buildings that get built are better, not just slapped together because it needs to get done. So it's really a positive chain reaction, in my opinion.
no, that's really great. I think we should end it right there, unless you have anything else that you would like to say.
No, that's it. I just want to thank you for reaching out to us, and it's been a pleasure talking with you. I'll do the proper plug: North Jersey Transit Forum, April 25th at St. Peter's University. We've got a ton of great speakers representing many different, I say, city, county, state, federal levels, different different business communities, different individuals, and yet we're all coming for the same reason: to make our community better. So please come out, connect, and reach out if you have any questions. I'm Jack at HudCoStreets. You can email me personally, and I will answer your questions.
Well, thank you so much. It was a pleasure speaking with you.
You as well, though.